Hi everybody, Jess here from Meadows Flowers, an artisan cut flower farm and studio florist in mid Staffordshire. Now, the sun might be shining through the polytunnel door, but it is actually nearly the end of October, and today I'm going to do a job which absolutely to me heralds autumn and heralds that spring and brighter days are going to be here soon, and that is we're going to get some sweet peas sowed. So I'm going to show you a couple of different methods to sow your sweet peas. Now, I always sow my sweet peas in autumn. I like to have my sweet peas flowering sort of by May into June and July, and then I actually take mine out. I do know that some people will have sweet peas flowering all through the summer, but I tend to farm very seasonally, and so I prefer to have my sweet peas flowering in spring. That lovely heady scent really to me heralds late spring, early summer. So as soon as my tulips are over, I really want my sweet peas to be flowering. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have our sweet pea seed, and there's two main suppliers of sweet pea seed that I'd encourage you to try and go for. Whilst you can pick up a pack of generic sweet peas in your local garden centre, by going to a dedicated sweet pea nursery and supplier, you know you're going to get really good quality seed that's got the best chance of germinating and really got the best chance of giving you really good tall stems and really good stem length for vase life. So the two suppliers I go for are either Eagle Sweet Peas or Roger Parsons, and this year I've gone for Roger Parsons. So I'll have a chat about each seed as we go through it and show you what it is that we're going to be doing. But this year we've got 5 different varieties to try. So first thing we're going to do is have a think about where we're going to start our sweet peas off. And if you've got a polytunnel or a greenhouse or even somewhere sheltered in the house, it's definitely well worth getting them started in autumn. You'll get a longer crop, your sweet peas will be good and ready to be going out really sort of towards the middle to end of April. Now, previously I've sown my sweet peas quite a bit earlier. I've sown them in sort of late September, but what I found is that by the time it came to plant them out, and by the time really the weather up here had settled enough to allow my sweet peas to thrive, they were too tall. They were about 3 foot tall, and they were just taking over too much room in the polytunnel. I was having to use canes, which I hate in the polytunnel, and therefore I've now realised that by sowing sort of mid to end of October, the plants are up and established enough before it gets cold. They're a little bit protected and sheltered here in the tunnel from direct frosts and certainly from the cold winds, and that's what they really dislike, is these bitterly cold winds we can get up here. You can't see from here, but we're right on the top of a hill and the wind whistles up the valley and we get some really nasty cold winds up here. So I tend to get them started, so really I want them to be going out any time in April, and I want them, you know, 18 inches tall, really nice strong healthy plants. So we're going to have two different things we're going to try sowing them in. Your traditional way of sowing sweet peas is in one of these bad boys. This is a root trainer. Now, I know we're going sustainable, we shouldn't be using plastic, however, these root trainers have been around for literally donkey's years. These came from my father-in-law, and I was gifted these 7 or so years ago, and they're still going. They're a bit battered, as you can see, they're a bit broken up, but they still hold compost, and therefore these have got another couple of seasons in them. So if we think of the reduce, reuse, recycle triangle that we always want to think about for our sustainability, these bad boys are actually a pretty good investment. They're not overly expensive to buy if you think you'll get years and years out of them. And the thing about using a root trainer is you can see how deep each pot is. So we sow each seed in its own individual module, and the roots will grow right down and they actually can come out of the bottom of these modules. And because sweet peas are a legume, so they're in the same family as peas, beans, etc., it means that they really want a nice, good, uninterrupted root run. So you can get them started off in a really good best of starts in these. The other thing we're going to do, which is a slightly more sustainable option, and if you're only sowing a very small number of sweet peas, it's a really good option to use, and if you've got kids, it's great fun as well, is to sow them in toilet roll inners. So I've only got 3 because I've been a bit overzealous at chucking them in the recycling bin, but I'm going to give these a go this year. Not done them before. What I will do, I'm going to do a direct comparison between same seed sowed in the root trainer and sowed in the cardboard tube, and we'll see how we get on and we'll see which is best. But again, nice simple cardboard tube, we should give a nice deep root run, but let's find out. So first thing I'm going to need is some compost. Now I don't bother buying seed compost, it's more expensive, and really it's just to find compost. So all I'm going to do is get some of my general multi-purpose compost and I'm going to sieve it, and all that's going to do is get rid of all the big clumps and give me some nice fine seed compost to plant my seeds into. So if you haven't got a garden sieve, go and get one. They're cheap and they're probably one of the most useful things that I've got. So I'm going to put a good load of compost in here. Luckily the bag's not too full. And then we're just going to sieve. Jiggle it and wiggle it. And as you can see, we're starting to make a nice fine compost. Now this is quite damp today, so it's going to take a little bit of sieving through, but we'll get there. Anyway, I've sieved the compost. It's a bit of a workout, but as you can see, what we're now left with is a really nice, fine, lovely seed compost. So I've got my root trainers. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill up my root trainers, and you don't need to pack it down, just needs to be fairly loosely filled. So we'll use these first. Just give it a bit of a bang down. Just going to make sure they're nicely filled pretty much up to the top. Just keep giving them a bit of a tidy off. Bit of a bang. Get the last few filled up. There. We should have sieved a bit more compost now. I'll have to sieve a bit more before I can do the toilet roll ones. But anyway, we've now got our root trainers nicely filled with our seed compost. And now, doors open, let's just close that. Anyway, it's not going that well today, but hey, I'm sure you guys don't mind when things go a little bit wrong. Got our root trainers filled up, ready for sweet peas. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I've got 5 sorts of sweet pea. So I'll do a row of each, and then we'll have a look where we're at. So you don't need to soak sweet pea seeds. People talk about pricking them and soaking them and all of this stuff. You really don't need to. All you need to do is make sure you plant them well. So these all come in little individual packets. So this first one is Anniversary. This is actually a variety I've grown several times over the last few years, and I absolutely love it. It's a real white sweet pea, but with like a pink edge to it. It's absolutely beautiful. So they need to go in relatively deep, and the beauty of sweet pea seeds is they're actually really easy to handle, because they're nice big fat seeds. See, instead of having a disaster day, you can all laugh your heads off at me today. So got my dibber, because we want to go in about ½ inch deep, so a couple of centimeters deep, and I'm just going to make a hole in each one, and I'm just going to pop my seed in. So just drop my seed into my hole I've made in the root trainer, and then I'm just going to cover them over. And I think I'm going to do another row of Anniversary because I love them so much, and I know how reliable they are. And we will go 1, 2, 3. Just out of the packet because I kindly dropped one on the floor. Good of me. And pop him in as well. So spare seed back in the packet. You don't get many, you only get about 10 seeds per packet, but that's absolutely fine. And then you mustn't forget, we need to label them. Now I reuse my labels time after time after time, and as you see, I've just broken one. I'm having one of those days today, but never mind. So on the back is tomato I grew last year. Doesn't matter, it's not posh, it's not for show. Just scribble out what was on it before and then just write your new label. So anniversary, and then I will label the other row because I don't always. Again, it's not a label, it's got all this stuff on it. Who cares? I don't. It's just for my benefit. So reduce, reuse, recycle. We are reusing, reusing, reusing. So that's 2 rows sown. You don't need to watch me fill the whole of these up, but I'll get these done and then I'll be back with you and we'll do the one for the toilet rolls. So just saved a bit more compost for sowing in my toilet rolls. None of this coarse material, slightly fibrous material, is going to go to waste. It's going to pop it on one of the raised beds outside. Just stop the door from falling open. So got some nice sieve compost. Just need a little tray to hold my tubes in for my sweet peas. And what I'm going to do this time, because it's cardboard, it's going to label. There's no point in me labeling, doing a label to poke in here. So I'm going to label these before I fill them. And the varieties I'm going to do Senator, because this is one I've been wanting to grow for ages. It is the most vintage of sweet peas. It's the colour scheme. It's that sort of Belle Époque, cafe au lait, gorgeous sort of colour, which is just going to be stunning as time goes on. I'm also going to do one of my old favourites, the Reliable Anniversary, because I know and trust this variety. So I know that this is going to be a good one. And the last one I'm going to do a Lady Nicholson, who only did 5 of those on the root trainer, so I'll give these another go. These are a little bit like an anniversary, and then they're a white base, but these have got a slightly more deep scarlet look to them. So my handwriting is terrible, but I can clearly see I've labelled my toilet roll. So just exactly the same way that I did when we did our root trainers. So we're just going to fill each tube up nice and loosely, just a little bit of a tamp down, brilliant, bit of a bang. Make sure these are nicely filled to the top, and then we're just going to get our gibber again, make a hole in again, pretty much nearly the entire height of the fat bit of my dib, and then remember who I labelled now. This was the downside, Senator, so this is Senator. So if I can get in the packet, looking at my new glasses, brilliant, fabulous. So seed, just going to go in there, cover him over lightly. Then we said we've got Lady Nicholson. Be really interested to see how these do compared to the ones in my traditional root trainers. I think it's going to be a really interesting experiment this year, and if it works, I might be moving away from my good old root trainers, or certainly reconsidering when when they do come to the end of their useful life. So that's my sweet peas now sown in my toilet tubes as well, and what I'll do is I'll show you what we're going to do next with them. So as you can hopefully see, because the sun is shining right in my eyes, I've got my seeds over here, and all I'm going to do now is just going to give them a good water in, just with a nice fine seed head. And again, make sure that my dish I've got my cardboard tubes in has got a hole in the bottom, so I'm able to drain any excess away. Make sure that they've had a nice good drink. And then the most important thing now is I need to exclude light from them until they germinate, and the easiest way to do that, just with a piece of cardboard. So a piece of cardboard, and I'm literally just going to loosely pop that just to keep the dark over them, over my sweet peas. And then what we'll do, I'll catch up with you when they've germinated and we'll see how we're getting on. Anyway, I'm Jess, I own Meadows Flowers here in Staffordshire. As always, if you like what you see, a nice like cock-up video today, please hit the like button. And if you want to know more about our little artisan cut flower farm and florist studio here in normally cold, wet, windy Staffordshire, then subscribe to my channel to find out more. Got lots of videos coming online, different hints and tips and tricks, so I hopefully catch up with you soon. Bye bye.